Good morning students. Today we are going to discuss about the kidney functioning and how the kidney function is regulated, or it is also called osmoregulation, how ionic balance or how body fluid balance maintained in the human body. First we have to see kidneys are involved in excretion of nitrogenous waste material or elimination of nitrogenous waste material. At the same time, kidneys play a major role in osmoregulation also. First, we have to discuss what is meant by osmoregulation. Osmoregulation means volume of solute present in 1 liter of solvent. This is called osmoregulation, volume of solute present in 1 liter of solvent. Units for this osmoregulation is milliosmol. Actual unit is milliosmol. In short, it is considered as for mosmol per liter. This is the units, that is osmoregulation. How this osmoregulation is maintained or how kidney function is regulated? Kidney function can be regulated mainly with 3 organs. One is totally this kidney function is controlled by feedback mechanism. Kidney function controlled by feedback mechanism of hormones. Kidney function controlled by feedback mechanism of hormones. This you have to remember. Kidney function controlled by kidney function regulation and monitoring done by hormones, and that mechanism is feedback mechanism. In this mechanism or feedback mechanism of these hormones also involves some organs. Also involving hypothalamus, juxtaglomerular apparatus and the heart. These organs are involved in feedback mechanism. So, kidney function and kidney functioning and regulation monitoring mechanism done by feedback mechanism of hormones. Kidney function controlled by feedback mechanism of hormones. For this working of hormones or feedback mechanism, these organs are to involve. One is this structure need to involve hypothalamus, juxtaglomerular apparatus and heart. From this hypothalamus, ADH or other name for this one is vasopressin. It is a hormone. ADH or vasopressin is a hormone. From juxtaglomerular apparatus, RAS mechanism. How it controls means by RAS mechanism. From the walls of heart, ANF mechanism. These are the processes. How these structures involved in the regulation of kidney function, that processes are by secreting. Hypothalamus secretes ADH, antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin. It is a hormone. This hormone controls the kidney function. Similar RAS mechanism, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone mechanism. This also controls the kidney function, and ANF also controls the kidney function. That is why kidney function mainly controlled by these 3 structures. And how these kidney functions can be controlled, or how osmoregulation we can observe the changes of this osmolarity or osmoregulation. For that osmoregulation, body fluid volume blood volume, ionic concentration. Any changes in these three, body fluid volume or blood volume or ionic concentration, any changes, whether they may be increase or they may be decrease, any changes in these substances or these fluids, then this feed mechanism starts its working. Any changes in that body fluid volume or blood volume or ionic concentration. Suppose you take a person met with an accident. In that accident, he loses some blood or body fluid. In such cases, he has to retain the fluid content in his body, whatever he has. In such cases, what that particular person has to control is secretion of urine. In such cases, hypertonic urine need to secrete to conserve the water. If the person who met with accident, he secreted normal unit, means more water will be excreted from his body. To prevent that one, he has to secrete hypertonic urine. Like that, how this osmoregulation maintained in the human body, we have to discuss. These are the points we have to discuss. We have to remember kidney function mainly done by feedback mechanism of the hormones, and how that hormones are controlled means, first one is antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin, second one is juxtaglomerular apparatus by RAS mechanism, and heart also involved by ANF mechanism. What are the fluids plays a vital role in the maintenance of osmoregulation is body fluid volume, blood volume and ionic concentration. Now, we are going to discuss about osmoregulation by ADH. ADH, this is antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone, or it is also called as vasopressin. Antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin. This is secreted from hypothalamus, released by posterior pituitary lobe. This you have to remember. Antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin secreted from hypothalamus, and the same hormone released by posterior pituitary lobe. That means pituitary posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. What is the role of this ADH or vasopressin, antidiuretic hormone? When body fluid volume decreases, first one is when body fluid volume decreased and body fluid volume decreased. Initially, osmoreceptors activated. Whenever body fluid volume decreased, which structures are activated means osmoreceptors. These osmoreceptors are activated. Due to the activation of osmoreceptors, that information sent to hypothalamus. Then hypothalamus starts secretion of ADH. Hypothalamus starts secretion of ADH. This ADH prevents diuresis. ADH prevents diuresis. This you have to remember, this word. here. ADH prevents, this word you have to remember, ADH prevents diuresis. What do you mean by diuresis is excretion of more and more dilute urine. Excretion of more urine is called as diuresis. That excretion of more urine or diuresis process prevented by ADH. That's why ADH prevents diuresis. How it prevents diuresis? ADH prevents diuresis by increasing absorption of water in DCT and collecting tubule. In DCT and collecting tubule. Here you have to remember, students, one point. ADH prevents diuresis. How? First you have to remember what is diuresis. Diuresis means elimination of more water in the form of urine. That has to prevent. What is the reason? Body fluid volume already decreased. So that person should not lose more water from his body. That's why diuresis has to prevent. How the diuresis prevented? By ADH. This ADH prevents diuresis by increasing absorption of water. In which regions it increases the reabsorption is distal convoluted tubule and collecting tubule. These are the two regions where hypothalamus increases the water reabsorption, distal convoluted tubule and collecting tubule. When more water is reabsorbed, because of this region, hypertonic urine excreted. Finally, which urine is excreted means hypertonic. Finally, hypertonic urine is excreted. First, we have discussed when body fluid volume decreases, such a person need to eliminate hypertonic urine to preserve the water in his body or to conserve the water and ionic balance of his body. He has to excrete hypertonic. How it works, you see. Body fluid volume decreased. Whenever a person's body fluid volume or blood volume is decreased, that information first received by osmoreceptors, then osmoreceptors gets activated. This information sent to hypothalamus, immediately hypothalamus starts secretion of ADH. What is ADH? ADH is an hormone, that is a hormone, antidiuretic hormone. ADH secreted from hypothalamus and it is released by posterior lobe of pituitary. Other name for ADH is vasopressin. What is the function of ADH? ADH prevents diuresis. ADH prevents more urination, or ADH prevents diuresis. This is very, very important word, you have to remember. ADH prevents diuresis. How it prevents the diuresis? ADH increases the reabsorption of water in particular regions of the nephron. What are the particular regions? Distal convoluted tubule and collecting tubule. So, water conserved in that particular person's body. And what is about urine? Urine gets more concentrated. That's why finally excreted urine is hypertonic. By this hypothalamus secretion or by ADH, hypertonic urine will be excreted finally. What is condition here? You have to remember, condition is body fluid volume decreased. In examination, they will specifically mention body fluid volume decreased or increased. Here you have to remember the condition is body fluid volume decreased. Which hormone starts secretion? ADH. If body fluid volume increases, that feedback will be stopped. ADH will not be secreted. That is different. So, when body fluid volume decreased, what kind of urine excreted that particular person is? Hypertonic. Another point is, this ADH is vasoconstrictor. ADH is vasoconstrictor. What is the meaning of this vasoconstrictor is? It constricts blood vessels. ADH constricts blood vessels. When blood vessels are constricted, BP increases. When BP is increased, GFR, glomerular filtration rate, also increased. This is another step. ADH plays two important roles. ADH prevents diuresis. As a result, hypertonic urine will be excreted. ADH is a vasoconstrictor. What is vasoconstrictor? It constricts the blood vessels. As a result, BP will be increased. When BP is increased, GFR also increased. This is about ADH or anti-diuretic hormone. This is first mechanism by hypothalamus for osmoregulation. Next we can go for the second mechanism. This is also when body fluid decreases, same condition. If body fluid decreases, another mechanism that maintains a key role is RAS, renin angiotensinogen aldosterone system. RAS, renin angiotensinone, RAS mechanism, full form of RAS is renin angiotensinogen aldosterone system. This is another hormonal feedback mechanism which regulates and monitors the kidney function. What is RAS mechanism is, here you see renin, angiotensinogen, aldosterone, these together work to control the kidney function. How this RAS mechanism works? RAS mechanism starts when body fluid volume decreases. RAS mechanism starts when body fluid volume decreases. Whenever body fluid volume decreases, osmoreceptors activated. Immediately which receptors activated means osmoreceptors gets activated. These osmoreceptors activate juxtaglomerular cells. These osmoreceptors activate juxtaglomerular cells. These juxtaglomerular cells secretes renin. Juxtaglomerular cell secretes renin. Here you have to remember JGA, juxtaglomerular apparatus. Juxtaglomerular apparatus secretes renin. Juxta means next to. What is meant by juxta is, juxta means next to. Why we have given this name juxta? Juxta means next to. For glomerular network or capillary network, that cells are next cells. Now, within couple of minutes we have discussed JG apparatus. It is not given in NCERT, but for your idea, we are going to discuss about JG also. First, we have to finish this one. How RAS mechanism works. Here you see, first, and body fluid volume decreases. Which receptors are activated? Osmoreceptors are activated. These osmoreceptors activate juxtaglomerular cells. Juxtaglomerular cells secretes renin. Now, renin secretion is started. This renin is a plasma protein. This This renin works on angiotensinogen. Renin works on angiotensinogen. This angiotensinogen is a plasma protein. This angiotensinogen converted into angiotensin 1, sorry 2, angiotensin 2. This angiotensin 2 is a decapeptide as well as vasoconstrictor. Angiotensinogen 2 converted into angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 2 converted into angiotensin 1. This angiotensin 1 works on adrenal cortex. It works on adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex secretes aldosterone. Adrenal cortex secretes aldosterone. This aldosterone increases absorption of Na plus ions and increases reabsorption of water in DCT and CT. Finally, which kind of urine is excreted, that we have to see. Finally, hypertonic urine. Here the urine, finally what type of urine is excreted means hypertonic urine. This is a Ross mechanism. Once again we can discuss point by point. First, when body fluid volume decreases, osmoreceptors are activated. When these osmoreceptors are activated, they activate the juxtaglomerular cells, part of JGA. Juxtaglomerular cells are part of juxtaglomerular apparatus. Juxtaglomerular cell secretes renin. Right. This renin works on angiotensinogen. What is angiotensinogen? It is a plasma protein. Because of this renin secretion, angiotensinogen converted into angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2 is a decapeptide and it is a vasoconstrictor. In later phase, angiotensin 2 converted into angiotensin 1. This is hexapeptide. Angiotensin 1 is hexapeptide. Angiotensin 2 is decapeptide. Angiotensin 1 is hexapeptide. These angiotensin 1 works on adrenal cortex. Here only you have to concentrate. Angiotensin 1 works on adrenal cortex. When adrenal cortex gets activated, adrenal cortex secretes a hormone named as aldosterone. This aldosterone increases absorption of sodium ions as well as absorption of water. Aldosterone increases absorption of sodium ions. It also increases reabsorption of water in DCT and CT. When water is removed or water is absorbed, what about the nature of urine? That urine is hypertonic urine. Finally excreted urine is hypertonic. This is about RAS mechanism. Here you have to remember point by point. First condition to apply RAS mechanism is body fluid condition. When RAS mechanism gets started, when body fluid volume decreases. Which cells are activated is osmoreceptors. Osmoreceptor activates juxtaglomerular cells. Juxtaglomerular cells secretes renin. Renin works on angiotensinogen. Angiotensinogen converted into angiotensin 2 first phase, then it converted into angiotensin 1 again. Angiotensin 1 works on adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex secretes aldosterone. Aldosterone increases absorption of sodium ions and absorption of water in DCT and CT. If more and more water is reabsorbed, then what happened? Hypertonic urine will be excreted. This is of RAS mechanism. And in this RAS mechanism, you have to remember 3 important hormones are required. Here number of 3 important hormones required. What are the 3 hormones is? These 2 hormones plays a major role. Angiotensinogen, renin, angiotensinogen, aldosterone system. These are all interconnected. It is a complex process. This is about RAS mechanism. Another mechanism which included in the kidney functioning, now we have to discuss just for juxtaglomerular apparatus. We have discussed that JGA, juxtaglomerular apparatus. Juxtaglomerular apparatus. What is juxtaglomerular apparatus is? Just now we have discussed. Juxta means next to. Juxta means next to. 1. Here macula densa cells. Second one glomerular cells. Third one mesangial cells. How it is formed means, when you see the structure of this Bowman's capsule in ultrastructure, this will be the, just we will draw little bit smaller diagram here, right. When you see that nephron, it is coiled structure. When it is coiling, this will be the glomerulus and this portion is DCT. If you see the arrangement of, this is a rough diagram. When you see the coiled structure of nephron, near to the glomerulus, this DCT will arrange it like this. So, juxtaglomerular apparatus formed by DCT and this capillary network. Here you have to remember this DCT, why we have drawn here nearby the capillaries is, in juxtaglomerular apparatus, juxta means next to means here next to glomerular cells, DCT will arrange it. It is a coiled structure actually. In our textbook the diagram given is stretched one, nephron diagram given as stretched part, but when you see the natural arrangement of that nephron, this DCT closer to the glomerular capillaries, and this will be the CT, right. We will take this portion DCT and glomerulus. This DCT region will have, suppose you take this will be the DCT portion, and these cells are macula densa. Next portion is glomerular capillaries. These are glomerular capillaries. In these glomerular capillaries, if you take one capillary, this will be the glomerular capillary. In this glomerular capillary, there are some cells. These cells are glomerular cells. Sorry, these are smooth muscle cells of blood or glomerular capillary. Glomerular capillary. Glomerular cells are that cells you can see here. Here is the cells. These cells are, this yellow color cells are glomerular cells. How glomerular cells are formed means these are smooth muscle cells of glomerular capillaries. Between these two, between the two types of cells, third one, mesangial cells will be arranged here. This will be mesangial cells. This portion we have drawn here. Students, you have to remember this little portion we have drawn here. In this little portion, what is this DCT? We have drawn a DCT tubule. Inside the DCT, what are the cells? Macula densa. This will be capillaries. Inside the capillaries, what are the cells? We can use the glomerular cells. In between the capillary network, this portion and DCT, macula densa. In between these two, there are third type of cells. These cells are mesangial. Mesangial cells function unknown. Mesangial cells function is unknown. Now, from which cells secrete that renin is? Renin secreted from, already we have discussed, renin secreted from glomerular cells. This will be arrangement of JGA, juxtaglomerular apparatus. Juxtaglomerular apparatus is formed by three types of cells: macula densa cells, glomerular cells and mesangial cells. Macula densa cells are the cells of DCT. Cells of DCT is called macula densa. Glomerular capillaries, especially tunica media, smooth muscle cells. Here you have to note down another point. Tunica media cells are glomerular cells. In the blood capillary, if you see the wall of blood capillary, there is a layer, tunica media. The cells of tunica media or smooth muscle cells of tunica media is modified into glomerular cells. From that glomerular cells, which substance is secreted? Renin. This portion we have drawn here. What is this? DCT. This white color will be DCT. This red color is capillaries. Blue color is mesangial cells. This structure we can see in when coiled structure of nephron. In our textbook, nephron given as a stitched structure, ultrastructure. But usually when you see the arrangement of nephron, DCT come very closer to the glomerular capillaries. So, DCT will have macular densa cells and glomerular capillary cells, especially tunica media cells or smooth muscle cells of the tunica media modified into juxtaglomerular cells. From the juxtaglomerular cells, which substance is secreted? Renin will be secreted. This is the arrangement of JGA. This is not given in NCERT, but for your idea we have discussed. You have to keep in your mind. This is not given in NCERT. To know how that filtration process or regulation process takes place, for that information we have discussed. This is of juxtaglomerular apparatus and it is a function. Next, we can go for the third mechanism. What is the third mechanism? Is ANF. We have finished two important concepts. One is kidney function regulation or osmoregulation with the help of ADH. Kidney function regulation and monitoring by ADH, that we have finished. Kidney function regulation by ROS mechanism we have finished. Third one is ANF mechanism. ANF mechanism. This ANF means atrial natriuretic factor. Atrial natriuretic